2021 regular meeting of the Burlington Board of Health to order. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business is approval of minutes September 14th, 2021.
Mr. Chair, I have, I believe that Mr. McSweeney was not, is this where he was here?
I was here, there was the one after this. I was here.
Oh, is this the one before? I get confused.
Yeah.
Are there any omissions, additions? I have one addition. Is our recording secretary online?
I don't see her on. I just recorded this for her to take minutes.
Thank you.
This wasn't the last one.
Right.
That's one thing. What are we seeing?
In addition, I thanked Jim Harrison for his expertise and outstanding commitment to the town for his position representing this board on biotech committees. Could you please have that added?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
Motion to approve?
With those amendments, second.
I have a motion by Mr. McSweeney, second by Dr. Salzman. All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. I am Ed Weiner, and Chairman of the Burlington Board of Health, and with me tonight is David McSweeney and members, Dr. Wayne Salzman, Mary Beth Welch, and Andrea Sheehan. Also with us tonight is our Director of Public Health, Susan Luminello, Environmental Engineer, Christine Mathis, and our Health Agent, Marlene Johnson. And our recording secretary will be taking minutes from the televised program this evening. Citizens' time. Is there anybody who would like to speak to this board who is not on the agenda? Who is here for something that's not on the agenda? Seeing none, I'll move on to the chairman's report. As I do each meeting, I want to acknowledge our professional staff, Board of Health members, and all those town departments for your hard work and commitment to this town, especially during this pandemic. We have all been very, very busy. Thank you to BCAT for televising this meeting and for all that you do to keep this community so well informed. First, a quick Burlington pandemic update. Utilizing the Department of Public Health data as of last Friday, yesterday was a holiday, with our population of 27,819, I'd like to note that 74% has been vaccinated. That is, that they had at least one dose of vaccine. And our positivity rate is below the state average. It is 1.75. But tonight I want to talk about a different disease, the seasonal influenza, the flu. You know, prior to the COVID pandemic, it killed thousands. You know, due to COVID precautions, numbers have gone down, which is very good. But you know, as pandemic precautions have been lifted, it is expected that flu cases will rise this year. So, why take a chance? Get your flu shot. It's free in most places. Call the Board of Health office at 781-270-1955. Again, 781-270-1955. And sign up for a flu shot. We have a flu clinic this Saturday. It's by appointment. There are still appointments available. We still have regular vaccine and high-dose vaccine for seniors. Please call and we'll set it up.
Mr. Chair, can I just push back a bit and say that the flu has typically caused tens of thousands of deaths per year, not thousands.
Thank you. Applications for definitive subdivision 4 and 5 Redmond Road. I saw proponents here. Please come forward and come in and sign in.
Mr. Chairman, I have to recuse myself for a potential personal conflict.
Thank you so much. Please note that our Vice Chair, David McSweeney, has left the room. We have seen this before. It is now a definitive subdivision. I guess our environmental engineer will be presenting this.
Sure, I'll give you an overview and I'll turn it over to Mr. Romero.
Okay.
So the applicant is proposing a small subdivision at the end of Redmond Street. It'll be a two-house addition and extending the existing street into a cul-de-sac. The proposal includes a stormwater collection system consisting of catch basins, a water quality unit for removal of solids, and an underground infiltration system at the rear of Lot 5. So I'll let Mr. Romero.
Mr. Romero, would you like to make a quick presentation?
Yeah, yeah.
We have the plans in front of us.
Okay, good, yeah. So, yeah, as Christine said, so we've been before the Planning Board and the Conservation Commission. We had various scenarios of approaches to this plan. So it's an existing street and existing lots. We're only proposing to improve the roadway so for access to the two lots. And what we've come up with, the plan that you have in front of you is probably a culmination of many different options that we looked at, and this one seems to have the smallest footprint as far as, because we are going to be filling wetlands and we are going to be disturbing land, but this one seems to have the smallest footprint overall. We're proposing retaining walls on this scenario, which has allowed us to minimize the fill of the wetland fill, and conservation is actually very in support of that. We're proposing 18 feet of pavement, a fully engineered roadway with utilities, sewer, drainage. As Christine said, we have a stormwater collection system, and we'll also have on-site infiltration for the road, for the driveways, and for the houses. We do propose sewer. It's going to be sewer force, actually, force mains for the two houses, and they'll go up to a manhole existing manhole in Redmond Street, and then they'll go gravity down to Bedford Street. So that's basically a real quick summary, so I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Does anyone have any questions? Do you have any? I have a number. First, all the underground facilities, all facilities, all of the are underground, correct?
Yes, they are.
They all-
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And you saw the 1, 2, 3, I can't even count them, the 10 conditions.
Yes, I did see that.
Do you have any problems with those?
No, I think
conditions?
they're fairly standard, so I have no problem with that.
The only other question I had was the forced sewerage.
Yes,
Forced- Now, is that in the deed that it is the responsibility of the homeowner?
it will be responsibility of the homeowner, and that's one of the conditions of engineering as well, so they will be taking care of that.
Okay,
As well as the drainage system, by the way. The drainage system will also be under the homeowners association, so,
it'll be a homeowner of two houses, correct?
yes, that's right.
There'll be no issues with fire getting in there, fire trucks?
No, that's one reason we started with T-type turnarounds and a smaller road, but we ended up going with the full turnaround. So now if you've been down that road at all, it's right now there's no turnaround at all. So this will give you a good access and egress for that whole neighborhood.
Thank you.
If there's no other questions, or you are recommending approval?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the application for definitive subdivision of 4 and 5 Redmond Street.
Second?
I have a motion by Dr. Salzman, I have a second by Mary Beth Welch. All in favor?
Aye.
4-0. Thank you very much. Would someone go get my vice chair?
Did you sign in, David?
All set? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you for coming. Okay. Where is my- The next is variances, People Helping People Food Pantry, 2123 Murray Ave, internal and external grease interceptors. And please introduce yourself and sign in. Thank you very much. And our health agent will be presenting this. Marlene Johnson.
Ms. McInich is here this evening. She's the pantry director, the Burlington Food Pantry Director. They are relocating to 2123 Murray Ave. And in doing so, there was a plan review, and they will be installing a 3-compartment sink. So because they're a food establishment and they're installing a 3-compartment sink, they fall into the Burlington Board of Health's local grease trap regulations. So she is seeking a variance from having to install an internal as well as an external grease interceptor. There is no food prep that will be happening at this location. All the food is donated, it's prepackaged. They will be providing whole uncut produce. They need the sink so that they can rinse the produce, and they also want to use the sink so that they can rinse out the containers that the whole uncut produce will be stored in. So my recommendation to the board is to vote to approve the variance from Section 4, Parts A and C, and allow the new food establishment to operate without installing an internal and external grease interceptor with the following condition. No food preparation is allowed to take place. The 3-compartment sink will only be used to rinse whole produce, to remove soils, and to clean containers that whole produce is stored in. The food establishment operator and the property owner both understand that this variance may be subject to revocation, suspension, or expiration as determined by the Board of Health. A variance under these regulations may be revoked, modified, or suspended only after the food service establishment has been notified in writing and given an opportunity to be heard at a regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Health. Reasons for revocation, modification, or suspension of this variance include, but are not limited to, unauthorized food preparation and/or a determination that the food service establishment is discharging grease in quantities sufficient to cause sanitary sewer line blockages or increased maintenance of sewer lines.
First, Director, Mrs. McInich, thank you for all you do, for your commitment to the less fortunate in our community. I thank you on behalf of the board.
Thank you.
I got one question for you. I ask you this question as a volunteer in one of your sister organizations, Bread of Life. I've volunteered for them for more than 30 years. And would you ever consider food preparation?
Yes.
And the reason I asked you, to save time and money, to do anything for what you do, would you consider looking for a variance just for an external grease trap, so you have the ability to put in an internal grease trap at any time and be able to do food preparation?
So this move from our current location to 2123 Murray Ave is intended as a semi-temporary move. We're hoping to be there for 3 to 5 years. We just earlier this year adopted a strategic plan with the intent of getting us into a new, larger location. And the hope is that in our new permanent location, we might be able to add a commercial kitchen so that we can start serving community meals.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. Do I have a motion?
You have somebody in the audience that's.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, we'll have a motion first in the discussion. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Well,
No,
no,
no.
discussion. First, the board. Do you have anything, any questions at all? Mary Beth, you have any? Yes.
Just excited.
Mr. Chair, I don't have a question. I just want to add on to your statement, if I may. Ms. McGinich, food insecurity is real. Access to not only food, but food that is nutritious is an ongoing social determinant of health in our community. And it is sad for me to think that members of our community do not have food insecurity, and it is wonderful thought to know that People Helping People is offering, is advocating for those individuals in our community to, for what is a public health urgency. So your being here is appropriate. Our talking about all this is appropriate, and thank you
Thank you,
again for what People Helping People is doing for our community.
thank you.
Sir, what is your name, please?
Richard O'Neill,
Yes.
O-N-E-I-L.
Can you sign in, sir, in that other?
Yes, sir. Would you like to?
Yes. First, I'm a little embarrassed in my geography. Although I'm familiar with the area, where are we situated with respect to Murray Avenue? Are we on the southern side of Murray Avenue or the northern side? You know, on the most northern side or the most southern side where we have all the workings of Massachusetts and its
I guess the question is, this is not the forum to discuss the move or the placement of their facility. We are just here to say they're going, and this is just has to do with, can they have a 3-bay sink? That's what it comes to, without putting in a grease trap. That's all we're here to discuss. So if you were, for instance, asking about should it be where it's going, how it's going to operate, that would be in a different forum, sir. Now, as far as the location, I'm sure that our director can tell you where the location is, but that's all we're trying to, all we're discussing here.
well, and tell me where the location is.
Where's the location?
So I'm not sure if it's north, south.
It's right, it's building 20, right, isn't it where the, right?
It's on the
across from-
CVS
from-
side.
Yeah, it's behind,
The little
the,
shopping plaza
the
there.
paint store and
So if you were going down Skilton, you turn right
if you,
or turn left.
well, it depends on
Right.
where on Skilton, which
Yeah.
side. If you're coming from, Cambridge Street, turn on Skilton, you would turn left and keep going past the, used bookstore and all of that, and it's the last business on your left
Have to go
before
down
you
the
get to the, yeah.
That's me.
Okay, that's all,
That's exactly what that is, yeah.
that's all we're looking at today is a 3-bay sink.
Well, it may be or it may not be. I mean, the bottom line is that sometime late afternoon, I get a piece of paper telling me, this is, oh, you've got a hearing tonight with respect to this issue. Really? I've only been there since 1952. I was kind of surprised that I was going to have that jammed at me in 4:43 this afternoon.
Well, sir, I'm not sure why
So-
did he, why-
Did you send out, okay, so you're the property owner, sir, correct?
I am the property owner. I've been the
Okay.
property owner since 1954. My parents owned the property in 1952.
so why did he receive a,
So the property owner would have received a copy of what you have in front of you, but that was sent out a while ago.
Yeah, that wasn't sent
To be
today.
copied. No,
Um,
it wasn't today.
So the reason why we send the property owner is because, so that they know
Yeah.
that this hearing is
Is taking
occurring
place.
with regards to their property and the fact that they're asking to waive putting
So you-
in an
I'm kind
internal.
of confused. You're the property owner to where they're moving into?
They would
2123 Murray Ave.
I would be opposite them on the
Yeah,
roads.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha,
David.
okay.
I
I
was-
misunderstood what
yeah,
you were
we-
saying.
So is he
so
the
I get-
property owner?
No,
No.
Murray Hills
Oh,
is
Murray
the
Hills,
property.
yeah,
owner.
that's what I was.
Is he even a
Is
butter?
it
It's
a butter?
across the street.
I don't know why he would, unless Murray Hills sent out notices,
So the
but
only
we
thing,
don't send to
as the
abutters.
chairman was saying, the only thing we have no purview over who moves into what facility in town and the moving of the people helping people. We're only here because they're looking for a variance to waive the use of the 3-sink bay, which is supposed to have an internal grease trap.
So-
And when we're voting on the variance of that, not about whether they should move in, about traffic flow, or about what's being stored there, or anything about hours of operation, that's somebody else. We're just addressing the 3-bay sink.
And if it was sent to you as you're in a butter in any way, sir, it is meant only to be I would think, to be a courtesy
As a
if you
notice.
wished to attend. It was not mandatory for you to attend at all.
And I'm not sure why you would,
And I'm not even sure why you would receive that. I think maybe that's something we should look into.
I don't think it came from us. Do you know who it came from? Wasn't from the Board of Health.
It came from somebody other than the Board of Health.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
So we did not send this to you.
But, a little bit of stroke here. But if that person had not given me that document, I would not be here tonight.
And I'm sorry you came.
Oh, I'm not, because I think that there are other issues that are sitting here. I'm familiar with grease traps and so on and so on. I mean, my background is that I'm an attorney, and my background is that I have been an attorney for 35 years, dealing with zoning and grease traps and all of these other
But that
things.
would be for the planning board, not for this
I
board.
get that, I get that, but how would I know that, is what I'm saying.
Well, the agenda is published, and the meeting is published as well. We have a certain guideline that we need to follow. But go ahead, Susan.
I'm not sure if this are you required to go before the planning board?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so this move is not something that's
That's all
required
this stuff,
through
yeah.
the zoning regulations. Maybe you might want to contact the planning board and ask them if this is a requirement from,
And I will be
because they're the
very-
ones that look at traffic and who goes where and
Sir,
that
do we
type of
know
thing,
who
not
sent the
Board of
email?
Health.
Do you have that board that sent the
You
email?
have that
or-
we
you
did
have-
not send it to you.
I'm gonna never say.
No, we did
Is
not
it-
send it to you. Apparently, our professionals have said we did not send it to you. So I don't know who.
So I think the avenue you may be looking for is the planning board, and the question of whether or not it's even required for them to go to the planning board, we can't answer that.
Well, there's a use issue.
Yeah,
That's not our purview.
That's not our purview, it's the Board of
It's
Health.
a maximum issue, you know?
Yep.
And we
other
thank,
issues. So
we understand that you have,
I wanna make sure that I'm on the right track.
but
That would probably, the venue would be planning board. They probably don't oversee this particular move, but you can contact them, I would assume.
If they're ultimately getting there, I have no problem with what you're talking about with
Sure.
respect to a grease trap. I want a grease trap.
with all due respect, you know, as a lawyer, you understand, you have no standing here. It's just, you should be going to the planning board if they have some purview. But we're just here to approve or disapprove a grease trap. And that's it. So, thank you. It was nice meeting you. I'm glad you came. I'm glad you got involved, just because we love people to get involved. But
Just be
we
careful,
understand.
be careful on your stand.
Careful understanding. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either.
You said it was a standing issue and you don't have.
No. You have no there's nothing for you to be involved with, is what I was trying to.
And I misunderstood.
Yeah, you have no, you know, your input on a grease trap as an abutter is not an issue for us. It could be for the planning board, of the selectmen, or from whoever, and I would start with the planning board if you would like some input.
I will be starting with the planning board tomorrow.
Very good.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Thank you for coming, and thank you for what you do.
Yes.
Thank you
Good
so
luck.
much.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Here we go. This is a continued hearing on solely a violation of stormwater and runoff management, 243 Fox Hill Road, resulting from an order to restore drainage dated June 25th, 2021. And again, this, I believe, this is the 5th hearing, longest one we've ever had. All other claims and counterclaims and Conservation Commission issues, I believe at this time have been, for lack of a better words, completed and closed. I'll ask our Board of Health professionals to summarize where we are now and provide their opinions. Ms. Luminello, our Director of Public Health, will review where we are at this point in
Yeah.
time.
Okay, so the owners of 243 Fox Hill Road, the Negrons, were issued an order by the Board of Health staff for a violation of the Board of Health stormwater regulations. In response to that order, the Negrons requested a hearing before the Board of Health. The Negrons appeared before the board on July 27th. At this time, the board voted to continue the matter to the September 14th Board of Health meeting for the board members to conduct a site visit and for Board of Health staff to collect additional information. Between July 27th and September 14th, the board members conducted a site visit, and the Negrons filed a counter-complaint against the neighbors at 241 Fox Hill Road, 3 Sumner Road, and 5 Sumner Road. This complaint involved the discharge of sump pump water and the dumping of leaves and organic debris. On September 14th, the Negrons appeared before the board again. At this time, the board voted to continue the matter to the September 28th Board of Health meeting to allow time for the investigation of the counter-complaint filed by the Negrons. On September 21st, Christine Mathis and I conducted a site visit at 241 Fox Hill Road, 3 Sumner Road, and 5 Sumner Road to investigate the counter-complaint. John Keeley, the Conservation Administrator, was also present at the request of Brian Sullivan, a representative of the property owner of 241 Fox Hill Road. Mr. Sullivan requested that Mr. Keeley look into the possibility that designated wetlands are present at the property. Mr. Keeley noted during this site visit that there were wetland plants present. However, a wetland scientist would be needed to determine their extent. At the September 28th Board of Health meeting, I presented the findings of the counter-complaint. My determination was that since the sump pumps allowed for the infiltration on the properties of origin, they were not in violation. I did determine that a violation existed with regards to the piles of leaves and organic debris. Also at this meeting, Larry Cohen, Conservation Commission Chairman, and John Keeley, Conservation Administrator, informed the board of the process by which the Conservation Commission would need to proceed to determine the extent of designated wetlands and to determine if a violation of the Burlington Wetlands bylaw existed. The board did not come to a resolution regarding 243 Fox Hill Road and continued the matter of the 243 Fox Hill Road order letter to tonight. Following the September 28th meeting, the representatives of 241 Fox Hill Road withdrew their request to the Conservation Commission to investigate possible violations of the Burlington Wetlands bylaw. An order letter was then issued by the Board of Health to the property owner of 241 Fox Hill Road to remove leaves and organic debris in an area that would otherwise be an overflow area for flood storage. The order letter was received by the property owner on October 6th, and the violation must be corrected in 60 days. That's by December 5th. Also following the September 28th meeting, I had a conversation with Attorney Richard Vita, representative of the Negrons, regarding possible solutions to mitigate drainage impacts of the work conducted at 243 Fox Hill Road. Attorney Vita stated that an engineer, Mr. Guy Carboni, has offered a solution. Mr. Carboni agreed to present his plan to the board tonight, and you have the plan, a copy of the plan before you, which is, we blew it up because it's kind of hard to see on the board materials. So that's where we are right now.
And your opinion on the order?
My opinions on all the orders is that they should stand as they are, because otherwise I wouldn't have had, the Board of Health wouldn't have written them, staff wouldn't have written them.
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Chairman, I make a motion to uphold the order on 243 Fox Hill Road.
I have a motion by Dr. Wayne Saltzman, second by
Mr. Chairman, I'll second.
Vice Chair David McSweeney. Discussion. I have here before me hundreds of pages that I have spent hours and hours and hours going through. I've heard from most everyone on their opinions, what they've seen, how they feel over the past 5 meetings. I'm going to open it up to discussion first for the board and then from anybody else. But we have heard so much, and we've reviewed so much, and it's taken so much time to make sure we understand every bit here. We've listened to our professionals, we've listened to you. So unless there's something new here tonight, or something you want to bring up that you haven't brought up in the past, some new information, we've heard it all. And if you haven't heard it all, you've sent it to us in the pages after pages. So to that end, I'll go through the board first, and then I'll hear anybody else who'd like to speak, and then we will deliberate possibly tonight.
I have no questions at this
No
time.
questions. Mary Beth, anything else you'd like to bring up? No?
Just a couple of comments. I think, so I echo, Mr. Chairman, your thoughts. I personally have read every single document, memo, email that's come in and out of the Board of Health. As you know, we've all visited the site. We're in a precarious position from the fact that there is multiple homes and yards that are impacted here. I do think there are very much wetlands back there, potentially wetlands. I think it's a wet area. I do think there's some other mitigating contributory factors as well. But at the end of the day, we don't have purview over that, right? We're not a court of law. We're not here to find a solution for all within that subdivision, right? We have been, and we're not a policing agency. So we were notified of a potential issue. We investigated it, did a thorough job, and I do want to commend my peers and the staff for doing a very thorough job, always remaining objective, and never once shied away from what was there or trying to move quickly to a decision. I think we did a thorough job there. We have a violation in front of us, and as the violation stands and as it's written against our stormwater regulations, I can't see how we cannot vote to uphold from two different professionals on our board in favor of that. So that's where I'm ended up today. I feel badly because I do think there's a lot of other factors there, but at the end of the day, we're presented with a violation. We did an investigation of the violation, and I think it stands for itself.
Dr. Salzman, do you have anything?
I would just echo what my colleague on the board, Mr. McSweeney, has said. I think the board has seen that there are mitigating factors, but once again, we need to go back to the order. The order does not say anything about quantity. The order has said that whatever changes were made to 243 Fox Hill Road, they have caused some change, whatever that change may be, to the surrounding environment. So I agree that there is nothing else we can do except to say, yes, there is a problem. The board does not need to hear about remediation plans. I respect our director for inviting folks here. If the will of the board is to hear remediation plans, I think that's fine, but the board does not need to hear that. But otherwise, my motion is as said.
So I just have one other comment. My comment here is that if an order is made by the Board of Health tonight, that does not mean that the whole area is going to be dry in the future. What it means is that it has to be remediated to what it was prior to an order of June 25th. And that would mean it's still going to be wet there. Director, would you comment?
Yes, because, I mean, you have, as we've talked about at the previous meetings, water coming down from all different areas, number one. Number two, it's already a wet area. It probably is a wetland. You're gonna have, it's a water storage area. It's a natural water storage area. You're gonna have water going to that area.
And as you noted in past meetings, we're in a climate change.
Yeah, and we're gonna have more and more storms. Unfortunately, we've been seeing more and more intense storms, like this past summer has been very wet. So if we have a summer like this again in the future, regardless of, you know, what mitigation they put in, you still may see water in that area.
If upheld, okay. So I think, is there anything else you'd like to add, our environmental engineer?
Nope.
Okay.
Can I just ask one? The order, just the wording in the order, can you just review it one more time?
It's in the Board of Health
It's-
materials, I
Okay.
think.
I'll just go back, I know I've read it multiple times. I
Yeah,
just
so
wanted to
it
just say-
says that they need to get a professional, an engineer, a landscaper, or other designated professional to come up with a plan to mitigate the impacts of what they did when they did their, changed their land, did their land alteration.
And we cannot dictate, advise, or suggest any mitigation if we uphold. Hell, if we don't uphold and it's rescinded, it's rescinded. But we cannot tell people what to do. That's not our purview.
We're not approving plans, we're just requesting that they have an experienced professional who's knowledgeable on drainage and has shown that they're knowledgeable on drainage, submits that plan.
So at this point in time, I'll ask the Tuesday night club. This is our fourth meeting on this, our fourth or fifth. Please, for the record, state your name, and does she have to sign in?
Please, yeah.
Please sign in.
Thanks for trying to get me out of it.
Can someone bring up the paper?
We-
Please.
Or maybe we could just sign in for you, yeah.
We can sign in for you, it's okay.
Better than I was anyway. This is a brief statement.
Okay then?
Yeah. Thank you. My name's Judy Sullivan from.
Ms. Sullivan, I'm sorry, could you please bring the microphone a little closer? Thank you very much, thank you.
My name's Judy Sullivan from 241 Fox Hill Road, and my mother is Teresa Sullivan and she's probably watching me now, so I'm going to try to do this well. First of all, I want to thank the board for everything that you've been through with us, as well as your attorney, for the effort that you spent on reviewing our complaint, and a special thanks to Christine, who's always been honest, direct, and kind to our family throughout this unusually difficult process. as a veteran of the officer of the United States military, I'm pretty well versed in the usefulness of following a simple chain of command. And so I would be remiss in not mentioning that we did not reach out to discuss the water issue with the Negrons before we decided to file our complaint. And none of us were completely sure the protocol for such a thing was not our intent to be hurtful. Excuse me. I will also acknowledge our mom, Teresa, who has lived in the neighborhood for 57 years, and she's watching now from home. And throughout those years, has taken great pride in her home. I'm sorry, it's the pain. And was always at great pains to plant gardens and maintain a neat lawn and prune bushes and maintain our home exterior. I say our, but it's hers. And she, at any rate, as new families replaced the old, it wasn't always as easy to meet them and maintain relationships, but she takes great joy in hearing the kids next door on both sides of us. And it's been painful for her to hear some people in the room speaking disparagingly about her yard and calling her maintenance of the yard a nuisance. And so I feel she deserved a little better from the town. Thank you. In the last meeting, the Sullivans agreed to remove the composting leaves and brush. And subsequently, we sent a letter to the Board of Health confirming that. And none of us believe that the leaves,
Ms. Sullivan,
you
would like a hearing.
No, I'm almost done.
Okay.
None of us believe that the leaves suddenly became a causal or contributing factor to the sudden flooding, nor do the environmental engineer and environmental attorney that we consulted. But in the interest of resolving and conciliation, we volunteered to move the small pile of leaves, composting in our woods. But we were a little disconcerted when the composting pile, roughly, 120 square feet, became such a subject of concern versus the flooding of about 7,000 square feet that was in places a foot deep. And so here's the thing. Properties have in real time lost some value, and mosquitoes caused a health hazard, and yards have been reduced to ponds when it rains for more than a day or two. And a great deal of unnecessary stress was caused. Vacations were interrupted. One of us slipped in the water and fell down, and just not this. And all we ask is that the area be returned to its former state. And personally, if I harmed somebody else, nobody would have to ask me to fix it, because I really value the neighborhood and the sanctity of my neighbors' homes and yards, and that's it.
Thank you so much. We realize that this is not personal. we're trying to be objective of what's going on, and this is, nobody is trying to be personal with anybody here, and however, this is a situation, this is a water situation that we're trying to fix, and we have done it through a number of vehicles, the only vehicles that we have. So thank you so much for coming, and thank you for your service to this country.
I mean, in retrospect, I would have
Thank you.
walked over to talk to you.
Mr. Chair, Director, Ms. Sullivan has discussed the concept of the nuisance law. It is a rough word, but it's nonetheless, it's a word that has been introduced by the state. Can you just give a brief overview or description of what the nuisance laws are under which this
No, that's
this falls.
okay. I've read it.
So you know that it's not where I can't even say we, where the state is not saying you are a nuisance. We're definitely not saying to Mrs. Sullivan that she or her property is a nuisance. This is just the name they chose for these laws under which this falls. I just want to make sure you know that this is,
I just want,
yeah.
Maybe the town people that are watching it to know.
And that's why I'm saying this has absolutely nothing, this is not a statement about the Sullivan family or their property. It is just under which this regulation falls.
I understand.
Thank you. Now, does anybody else would like to speak this evening?
I'm gonna leave because I need to go home and lie down, okay?
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Wayne, thank you for stating that. I appreciate you doing
Uh,
that. Thank you.
Mr. Sullivan, do you have anything? Oh, you're going to take her home. Thank you for coming this evening, Mr. Sullivan.
No, I'll be back.
You're back. Okay. Is this something new this evening?
No, it isn't something new, but it is something that we brought up, you brought up, Mr. Chairman, at the very first meeting.
I don't
If the
remember.
board votes on the violation, if you recall, you said that the issue of removing any drainage structure is no part of this hearing, and yet it was on the violation, and if the board is inclined to find a violation, then those words should not be included, because that was the ruling of the chair at the time.
Is that,
At the time the order letter was written, when Christine wrote the order, she had information from the neighbors, testimony from the neighbors, that there was a drainage structure there. She did investigate that with the DPW in the street, and they saw the pipe coming out. So she had reason to believe that there was a drainage structure there. So we have two sides. One, and then after that order letter was written, they came out and said there was no drainage structure there. So it's true, we don't know for sure whether or not there's a drainage structure there. Irregardless though of the drainage structure, the order would be the same. The outcome of the order is the same, whether or not those words are in there or not.
and this is not this is not appropriate to change the order, correct? At this point in time, we can't change the order.
I don't see what the reason would be to do that unless, unless you wanna
So do you
just,
have a problem with that statement in the order? Because it doesn't change the outcome of the order.
I agree, except, it's regarded, at least by the Negrons, as a more serious offense. The order would be in the property file, and it simply was unsupported by the evidence of the town when we sought,
So Susan, can we,
well, I don't know
just delete the words.
if it was unsupported.
In other words, land has
At the
been
time,
altered.
but it
did
doesn't
believe it.
change the
Anything.
order, and it doesn't change the
It
outcome.
doesn't.
The order's the order.
The order's the order.
Right, whether the word in the order.
I mean, I would be happy if you saw it of benefit to augment my motion by saying without the mention of a definitive drainage pipe being in the place, but my motion still would stand. So,
I don't know, maybe we could a note in the file or something saying, a memo to the file saying, explaining the
It-
conflict between whether or not there's a drainage
Well,
structure there or not, but,
Strike those
but
words.
otherwise we have to rewrite.
Not yet,
No.
Ms. Sullivan.
Not
No.
yet, Ms. Sullivan.
Otherwise we have to rewrite the order.
Well, I get that, or just can we vote on the violation
Yeah.
with the amended order of striking out the,
And then it would be in the
Yes.
record for a
Right.
meeting. Yes,
Correct.
you could do
Yes.
that, yeah.
Okay.
That would be acceptable.
Yes.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Yes. If it's something new.
So I'm concerned, about how that looks, striking down, the wording about a drainage pipe when we all know that it was there.
We don't.
We don't
Did
know.
it-
We don't know that. We don't even know if it's
do
working
know,
there
but
or
we-
working.
we
do know.
we don't.
Board does not know that.
You do,
But we
don't know. It's not on any plan, it's not in any documentation, there's no pictures of it. We have no idea if it was there or not.
Well,
And
there's no pictures of it because it was covered up.
Well, I can't help, we can't vote on something we don't know, and we can't take your word as to the fact that it was there or not. There's no documents, no blueprints, nothing.
I mean, Ms. Sullivan, I want to be clear that the board respects the history that the Sullivans and the Rapucci's bring to the discussion. That being said, there are certain things that we, the board, cannot validate via objective means. One of these is the drainage pipe. There is evidence that there is a drainage pipe there by DPW, but we don't know otherwise what it is. I know that either you or one of your siblings talked about running around it as kids and things like that.
That was me.
I get that. So we respect the history that you all bring to the table, but there are some things that we, the board, need to have validated, and that is one of the things that is in question. So it is nothing against you, your siblings, your mom, the Rapucci's. It just, for us, it just is what it is. Does that help you at all?
I know in a perfect world, I would say that it helps me. It's difficult because, and I'm not trying to be disagreeable, but that stuff was there.
Okay, well, thank you.
And now it's gone, and now we're having flooding on 3 properties. And now we're trying to sweep that under the rug.
I have a
Because we're not-
question.
I guarantee you this board has swept nothing under the rug and will continue to sweep it.
Not in under 3 months of working on this. And I've looked at this every single day for days and days.
I
Nothing's been
appreciate that.
I just have one question, and that is to the board. I said, if we change this and this goes to a different level of some, a court, so it goes, and do we want to really change the wording of our original order? And I'm not sure we want to do that. If it doesn't make any sense and this ends up going to court or ends up going somewhere else, I would like it to stay in.
Well, Mr. Chair, I mean, to your point, Attorney Vita, can you still come back up, please? So, Mr. Chair, to your point, Mr. Vita, it is in the record that we have, the minutes reflect that we have discussed that there may or may not be a drainage pipe, but there is some evidence that there is some sort of drainage structure. So is the fact that we have discussed this and it's in the minutes, does that help with any type, does that mitigate your concern at all?
So what occurred, the issue was joined at the very first hearing. And I'm clear that when the issue was brought up, that we have obtained the records and confirmation from DPW that there's no evidence, there was no record of any drainage structure on it that the chair and the board ruled that that will be not considered by the hearing. It will be on the question of whether the fill and the grade was changed by the Negrons. It wasn't until 2 days after that hearing that Christine went to the street drain on Summer Street with someone and spotted the end of a pipe in a drain. And from there, it's pure conjecture, no evidence of any type that there was a drain was put forth, except that we were trying to say that that was the drain pipe without anyone from the town being able to confirm it. So
I think we've all seen that pipe, that entry into the Senate, entered into the storm. We all saw it. But I'm just wondering, what is I just don't understand at this point in time what the gravity of changing that is when a motion has been made just to.
Yeah.
So the way I feel on this, and I don't want to get hung up on this, right? But I understand where Mr. Vita's coming from. My point of view is that it was written up on an assumption. And we since have no supporting evidence on that assumption. And it doesn't change. If there was no drainage pipe there to begin with or catch basin, we still would have written up a violation for the change of grade.
Correct.
So I really don't see a reason. It's an assumption that was put into the order. I don't see why we can't take it out because it's still an assumption and we have no factual base of it whatsoever, and it doesn't change the order.
One way or the other.
I'm wondering why it's an assumption when other neighbors say it was there, but it's not an assumption when the people who own the property say it wasn't.
Because I have neighbors that said that it's not there.
We
It
can't-
wasn't there.
we haven't seen it.
And we have nothing. We don't even know if it was an approved connection to the sewer. We don't know if it was existing. We don't know if it was.
Well, if you had a chance to review what I sent the Board of Health today, if you had a chance to review what I sent the Board of Health today, you'd see.
That to take out the drainage part?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how exactly it's written.
I don't know how it's written either.
The wording,
The order letter does say and/or.
so can you read what the order letter says, Christine?
Land has been altered and/or disturbed by adding, development, moving drainage structure causing water accumulation on neighboring properties. Submit and implement a plan prepared by a professional landscaper, engineer, or the equivalent to the Board of Health to restore site drainage conditions to those prior to land alterations.
It does make a difference.
Just one other point on that, and I understand what Mr. Vita is saying about the town said it wasn't there, but I just want the board to understand, the town, the DPW, does not keep plans of drainage structures on private property. So it was on private property. The only way you would know that it was there would be from people who have seen it.
Right, but we don't even know if it
So-
was a legal structure. if it
Right,
was
do we know if it was
existing.
even working? Like, we don't know that, Susan. If it was existed, we
I
didn't
don't wanna
see
get
it, we
hung up
don't
on
know
it.
it, right?
Okay.
If it worked, right?
No, I'm not
Right.
saying that, but what I'm saying is that
Yep, they
the
don't keep
town
record.
would not have a record of it.
Okay.
I'm happy to amend my order to remove the drainage part, but my motion to uphold the
Yes, I
order.
agree, and I
Yeah.
second that
Oh,
still.
okay.
I don't think there's a reason not to move the drain, because we don't know if there was drainage there, it was written as a part of it.
Can you,
So-
can
so
you?
it's still discussion, so we're still in discussion, so we can do whatever we
Okay.
want.
I just, for the sake of the minutes, if you could, put your new motion in.
I don't know, can I see
Yeah,
that?
please, I don't want to hear, I don't want to hear it. No, I'm not in, we've got to come up with it. If we are taking what you say under advisement, and we're working
Okay.
on something that
So, let's take
would
this out.
possibly, so,
Landfill causing water accumulation.
Yeah, and
Just
removing a drainage structure. Yeah,
but just take that out.
and removing a drainage structure.
Okay. So, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would like to augment my,
Augment or edit.
amend.
Amend.
I would like to amend my motion by upholding the violation for 243 Fox Hill Road to land has been altered and/or disturbed by adding fill causing water accumulation on neighboring properties. Submit and implement a plan prepared by a professional landscaper, engineer, or the equivalent to the Board of Health to restore site drainage conditions to those present prior to land alterations. For the record, the amendment is the removal of the 5 words and removing, quote, and removing a drainage structure, end quote.
Okay, and I will
Thanks, Christine.
write a letter to the Negrons with the new, what was.
I'll second that motion.
That will go in.
Okay, we second. All right, is there
Thank you.
anything else? If not, are we done? I mean, we done discussing this, so let me review what we're gonna be doing now, because we have had a number of split votes. A vote of yes is to uphold the order, order with amendments on, that was dated June 25th, 2025. Or a vote no would be to not uphold the order, and it's in essence, rescind the order of June 25th, 2021. Is that correct? Is that correct? Okay. So that's where we are now. If there's no other discussion, and we've been through this since July,
Mr. Chair, call for question.
if I have to call the question,
Or are we going to vote? If we're going to vote, then I will rescind my call for question.
I'm going to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
No,
Oppose?
opposed.
So it's, how did you vote?
I said aye.
So 4-1-0. So we upheld the order, but we amended that order at this time. It has been very difficult, I want to tell everybody. And please, this is not personal. This is something that is an issue in your neighborhood. We've done our best. We've done our best in coming to this conclusion, and we've agonized over it. And we think we've made the best vote at this possible time. I want to thank everybody. You're all good people. I enjoyed meeting every one of you. I really do. One other thing in closing tonight, we have in the audience Mr. Carboni. What is your first name, Mr. Carboni?
In Italian, it's Gaetano. In English, it's God.
Thank you very much. He is here this evening. He is a retired colonel. He's a graduate of MIT. He's an attorney. He's a civil engineer. And I just want to acknowledge him and thank you for your service as a colonel in the United States Army. Thank you for coming this evening. Thank you. Good night, You're welcome to stay. You're welcome to stay, but we've got more business to do. You'll be in touch with Susan Luminella.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. What is a micro market? It's a new word, new definition that I need to
So
understand.
a micro market is an unattended food establishment. So you see these in office buildings where
Oh, yeah,
they have refrigeration units and they have prepackaged grab and go. And so I reached out to Boston because we potentially had one. And so they would have to come before the board to get a variance because the food code requires that it be a person in charge when there are foods that require temperature control for safety and they're not in a vending environment where anybody could walk in and open up the door. So as it turned out, they decided not to go forward with that micro market and they will have somebody in attendance during operating hours, so.
I didn't know that's what they were called. Thanks.
That's why I asked.
I remember the board talking about that.
Mr. Chairman, I was recently, my wife and I were down the mall. I hadn't been down there in quite some time. And that whole space where Sears was, I didn't realize there was that much room down there. Where Fogo de Chow, or Cow, I don't know how to say it. And then you have Shake Shack. I can't believe how many restaurants are opening up, which is a great sign, right? We're coming back a little bit, but won't work for you guys, but but I couldn't believe how much has changed down there. It's a lot going on.
Mr. Chair, motion to approve the health agent report?
Second.
Second by Mary Beth. All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Environmental engineer, do you have anything?
Just a quick update on hazardous materials inspections. So I started those back up a couple months ago and was focused at the beginning and doing the ones pertaining to anybody getting a new biological safety permit or renewing their biological safety permit. So those have been completed. I have now gone and done back into the regularly scheduled individuals, starting with people who opened just before or during the pandemic and have not been visited when we weren't conducting those inspections. So I have done an initial hazmat inspection at Azur at 60 Blanchard. That was for their opening of a limited number of the clean rooms, which was 5 to begin with. They are since moving for full occupancy, so I'll be returning to do another round of inspection for them, because at the time they had a temporary hazardous waste storage area. Now they're moving to their full capacity hazardous waste storage area. They now have all tenants either in or almost in for the 20 clean rooms. And then I have done some others where I had not been before. So Poly 6 Technologies, you may recall, they were one of the 3D printing facilities that came in, very impressive outfit over there. And a few other new ones have come in, so. The only other update is we are still, well, it's a continued update, but we are still at high risk for West Nile virus. Until the end of the season, they won't lower it because the populations, due to all of the rain that we've had over the past, well, over the summer in general, into the fall, the mosquito carrying vectors for West Nile virus are still high and will remain high until first hard frost. So precautions continue as outlined in previous meetings and as outlined on our website.
Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Chair?
Sure.
So two. So one, we're getting into the winter months, and I'm thinking of Cambridge Street. Is that the old auto body? Another winter of ice dams.
Of course, you guys recall that you approved, or you heard their proposal and passed it with conditions. That project is still before the planning board.
Okay, so it's probably not gonna get done this year.
I don't know, but street opening permits, I think, have to be issued before November 15th.
Gotcha.
The original DOT permit expired this June. So, but DOT has indicated they will grant an extension, but they'll grant the extension once conditions have been finalized by the planning board. So, I mean, your part is complete. I don't know that the work will be initiated.
Probably until next year. Okay. And the other question I have is, I noticed the comments on beaver dams and stuff. So what does that entail for us? What do we do with that?
Well, maybe I can ask the director to help me with this, because
what's our purview over beaver dams?
I just did
So, yeah,
two recent ones.
Everybody always gets confused about how the Board of Health and how we're associated with beavers. But, so the Board of Health gives emergency permits for the removal of beavers during the non-hunting season and also during the hunting season to use the body gripping traps. So if someone has a beaver on their property and it's non-hunting season, the trapper would need to apply to the Board of Health for an emergency permit, and they need to prove that it's a public health emergency for the removal of the beavers. That would be flooding of a road, flooding of a well, flooding of someone's house, not just that, you have extra water in your backyard type of thing. The responsibility for the removal of the beavers is that of the property owner. So what people don't always understand is they'll call up and say, I have beavers and want the Board of Health to come out and remove the beavers. We don't do that. We just issue the emergency permits for the person to remove the beavers legally during the non-hunting season or to use the body gripping traps. We have had lately, probably because of all the rain as well in the summer, a couple of troublesome areas with regards to beavers, one being in the area of, off Mill Street, the park there. Rahanis
Yeah, I
Park.
was gonna ask where that was in Rahanis. Where is that area? Is it in the
Well,
front?
actually, the area is like along the stream in the back, and it's not the fact that Rahanis Park is flooded and that the kids can't play soccer, although unfortunate, that's not a public health emergency, but it is causing a problem for the homes on the other side. So I spoke to several homeowners regarding that. The beavers were located on town property, therefore it's the responsibility of the town to get the permit for, and pay for the person to come in and remove the beavers and breach the dam. There's also a troublesome area along Hilltop and Sandy Brook. There's a piece of land there that's owned by the town, and it just so happened again that the beavers built a big dam on the property owned by the town. So we got the DPW involved, and they got the trapper to go out, and we issued the emergency permit. Now, one of the big things about keeping the streams moving is to make sure that all the logs and everything is taken out of the streams so that they keep moving and the water keeps flowing. So we did contact East Middlesex Mosquito Control because they said we had some extra money in our budget this year, and they were gonna go in and to both of those areas and do some stream cleaning. Now, you have to get approval for the Concom to do those types of things, so that's why we all met on site with Concom, DPW, and talked about, and the neighbors as well, to talk about removing some really large trees, branches, sticks that might be interrupting the flow of the stream. So that's where we are right now. I'd like to next year keep at these areas, maybe talking to Concom or DPW about getting East Middlesex Mosquito Control in there, and I don't know, I mean, that's something we'd have to look at how much it would cost. DPW does have a budget, I believe, for this type of thing. Concom does stream cleaning, but it's only like having people come in and removing things by hand. So if you get a really large log or tree or something, you're not gonna get that out that way. But East Middlesex Mosquito Control does have the ability to do that. So I'm hoping next year we can continue this conversation after we get these areas cleaned out, so that way it's done on a regular basis, so these people won't continue to have problems.
Okay, I am gonna ask a follow-up question. I'm probably gonna shoot myself in the foot for asking this, but it doesn't sound like we humanely remove the beavers.
Us?
It's not us. When we give the emergency permit, is the beaver trapped humanely? It doesn't sound
No,
like it.
the beaver is, they kill the beaver, and they use, in this event, if they get an emergency permit, they can use, instead of using the humane box traps, they use the body gripping traps. And that's why it's a public, it has to be a public health emergency for something like that to be issued.
I mean, I personally have a problem with that, right? But
You thought they relocated the beaver?
well, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a hard time with the
Relocate,
Board of
Yeah.
Health approving.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you
euthanizing
recall.
an animal, right?
Yeah, but I don't know if you recall, many years ago, this was put on the ballot. It was quite a few years ago, and it was a controversial kind of subject, I guess, whether or not to have this law. It was way before my time even coming here, to whether or not to do this. And it was put on the boards of health because to decide whether or not this is a public health emergency to remove the beavers or not.
Right.
So they are protected, they're just not, I mean, in a
Right, so
public
I
health
assume we are
emergency.
making those decisions with great mindfulness.
It's a public health emergency.
And
Yes.
and reluctance.
I try,
Yes.
yes.
And reluctancy.
I try very hard.
And I'm
to
sure we
that.
do, I just, you know,
Yeah.
okay, thank you. Thank you, Christine, thank you, Mr. Chair.
I have one question. Household hazardous waste day, did the bills come in?
Yes.
And how were we under, over, or at budget?
So this would be, we were under.
Under budget.
That's great.
That's great. Consolidation. So, thank you. We have a motion to approve the environmental engineers report.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, motion by Mary Beth, second by Andrea Sheehan, all in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Now, we have the Director of Public Health's report. Now, we have the Associate Health Inspector and the Supervisory Nurse and the Director of Public Health. So, let's do what we've done in the past. Are there any questions for the Associate Health Inspector report?
You know, I have a question. So,
Associate Health Inspector.
Associate Health Inspector. So, do we need to get the police force animal control out when we approve kennel licenses anymore? Or is that, it's all Samantha?
Yeah, so it's not us that gets them out, it's the town clerk. So the license goes through the town clerk, and it's written in the bylaw that they get the recommendation from the Board of Health and the animal control officer.
Okay.
So we just do our recommendation, give
Got
it
it.
to the town clerk.
Because we
and then-
used to talk about that before, if Jerry, it was Jerry Mills at the
Yeah, it
time,
was
if Jerry
like-
went out, but we don't talk about that ever, so just
Yeah,
wondering.
I mean, it's just kind of like, she tries to coordinate, so, in the past, we've tried to coordinate with the animal control, but his schedule is so,
Got it.
variable that it's kind of hard to do it at the same time.
Thank you for the clarification.
Supervisory nurse, is there any questions? I have one. Today, there was a library blood pressure screening.
Yes.
Was it well attended?
I don't know. I don't know what, they usually, when they come, the nurse comes back, she'll tell the admins in the office how many she saw, but I don't know.
Please
I don't know
thank
what
her for
that number
doing that.
was.
We haven't had those very often.
Yeah,
They're very well appreciated.
even if we get one person, I feel like it's a, good effort, if we can screen one person. And the library really appreciates us coming out and doing it, and they've been making an effort to try to advertise it. I don't know if you saw the sign out front of the library.
Yes.
And they also put it on their Facebook page, so it's great.
Thank you, and thank her. Please thank the
Yeah.
supervisory nurse. Are there any questions now for the Director of Public Health? Well, let's talk about something. We
Okay.
hired an Associate Director of Public Health, Michael Green. I worked with our Human Resources and our Director to negotiate a salary and benefits. He accepted it. He'll hopefully be here in 6 months?
And
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
6
Yeah, he's
weeks.
looking at, he's.
Selling his house.
Yeah, and looking for a new one. He's still in the process of selling.
And I have been speaking with him every single week since he's made the offer and accepted the offer. 6 weeks. Okay, and we're very excited about this new hire. He is a Navy veteran. He has an undergraduate degree in laboratory science. He has a master's degree in public health. He's a health agent. Is that the correct terminology?
I'm not sure what I don't know what they call it in Minnesota.
Well, we know what it is here. He's certified, and we did a national search, and we found somebody in Minnesota. Anybody else? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the Director of Public
Hold
Health.
on, Chef.
Well, just a reminder that the flu clinic is
One, please. We got the.
16th is Saturday, so any residents, they can sign up on our website, or they can call the office and we'll sign them up, like you already said. We still have high dose available and regular dose available. Our appointments are not filled up.
How many appointments are we taking that day?
So we have 170 high dose and 500 regular dose.
We're doing it by appointment, but we can take all 500.
Yes. So we're not filled up yet. It's not, we won't, if somebody comes in on that day, we have a way of signing them up if we
Great.
still have vaccines. So, but we want, ideally, would get everybody signed up ahead of time.
Awesome.
We have about 400 listed at this time.
Yeah,
So
that's
we do
fantastic.
have, we do have vacancies, and please, get vaccinated. And I heard today on both my cell phone and my house phone,
Yes.
we heard a reverse 911 announcement by Sarah Quartermash. Tell her it sounded great. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Dave McSweeney, second by Dr. Wayne Salzman. All in favor? Aye. 5-0. I just one comment. It's on. This is on. I hope I didn't misspeak on the last vote when it came to the order. I did say 410 and not 401. Correct?
I think you went 410.
Did I say 410? I'm having.
I think you
Did,
I did say
Correct.
410? Thank you. I wanted to make sure I said it correctly. Thank you. Just before you leave, put that on the tape that I wanted to make sure. With that,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
I just want to say for the minutes and for our community that I thought that you ran, with regard to the 243 Fox Hill Road, a fair, empathetic meeting, discussion with regard to all the parties in place. And I just want to express for the record my sincere appreciation for the amount of time that you and our staff has put in to our community. It's reflective of the kind of board that our community has elected. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's very nice. I really appreciate it. Do I have a motion to adjourn? I have a motion from Mary Beth, a second by Andrea Sheehan. All in favor? Aye. 5-0. Good night, everybody. Please consider getting your COVID vaccine. Please consider getting your flu shot. Good night, everybody, and
do it at the
wash
same
your
time.
hands.